Yes guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my review of the quarterfinals of the Champions League where Arsenal and Man City exited the competition. Where Arsenal lost to Bayern Munich and Man City lost to Real Madrid on penalties. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So we'll talk about the Arsenal versus Bayern Munich game first. In my opinion, Arsenal need a striker in the summer. Yes, they have Gabriel Jesus up top, but he's not clinical enough for them to push on and to win the league, even to get further in the Champions League. I think it is evident as well from the weekend's game against Aston Villa. They do need another left back as well. Zinchenko, on the ball, he's great in centre midfield, but again, he's not a left back. And as well, Kiwior is also not a left back. Yes, they got Jurriën Timber to come back from injury, but it's going to take him a while to get going. And again, in my opinion, he's not a left back. He should be in the role to compete for the right back spot against Ben White. I feel Mikel Arteta made a few questionable decisions, not only last night against Bayern Munich, against Aston Villa as well on the weekend. It was 0-0 when Ødegaard came off. Yes, I know he wants to rest him and maybe they want to hold on for the draw. But if Ødegaard is not on the pitch, they don't have much going forward, not much creativity. So they were lost for ideas against Villa towards the end of the game, where Villa started to dominate the game. In regards to the substitutions that Arteta made, in the 67th minute, Jesus came off for Jorginho and Trossard came on for Martinelli. I feel Arteta should have made those subs sooner, as those players were not affecting the game. And to make those subs just as a reaction to the Bayern Munich goal, I feel that is a mistake from Arteta. When Mikel Arteta took over, he had a 5-year plan to win a major trophy. He won the FA Cup in his first season. That wasn't really his team, but since then, last season, they bottled the league when they were winning. Arteta, yes, has made them play good football. He's made them more clinical. And under Wenger, they were struggling towards the end of his tenure. After that, Unai Emery came in and didn't do too well either. Arteta has done really well to get Arsenal competing in the top 4 and competing for titles again. I don't think he's a good enough manager to take them to the next step. I feel he's the same position where Brendan Rodgers was when he was in charge of Liverpool when they finished second in the league. So, Arteta has one more season to win the league or the Champions League. Then I feel it's Arteta's time to leave Arsenal and move on. And for Arsenal to find a manager to take them to the next level. In big games this season, Saka has not done enough. Like last night, he didn't have many chances. He didn't have many dribble attempts. And the final corner as well. To hit the first man in the final minute of the Champions League quarter-final, that's just inexcusable of a player of Saka's quality if he claims to be world class. Also, Arsenal dominated the game against Bayern. Bayern's tactics were to sit back and hit them on the counter-attack, which they did really well. But in certain situations, Arsenal need to be more clinical. Havertz, Ødegaard, Jesus had many chances to score last night. Even Trossard coming off the bench is a good option. But I feel the depth that Arsenal have is not good enough to compete in both the Champions League and the Premier League if they want to go for the title. A real disappointment for Arsenal this season especially has been Gabriel Martinelli. He scored many goals last season, being Arsenal's talisman and their clutch player. But this season he's got 6 league goals, and that is not good enough for a player. And that is not good enough for a team that wants to be competing right at the top of the table in multiple competitions. In addition to that, to bring on Nketiah in the final few minutes, if that's the calibre of player that Arsenal have to bring on, yes, he's an academy product, but no, he is ineffective in games. You bring him off the bench, they need more options off the bench. There's very similar players. Maybe have a target man to bring off the bench, have a target man to start in some games where they are struggling, and to bring Nketiah off the bench to save the quarter-final, I don't think that is good enough. Arsenal had a fully fit team, barring Jurriën Timber, who was injured in the first day of the season, but Bayern Munich had no Gnabry, had no Coman, and Alphonso Davies was also suspended, and they were 3 players down. They put Rafa Guerreiro at left mid, who did play very well. He got the assist for the Joshua Kimmich goal, and they had Morocco international Mazraoui at left back, who is naturally right-footed. So Saka should have wanted the ball, got on the ball, and played to Bayern's weaknesses, which was at left back, although Mazraoui is a very good player at right back. With a few minutes to go as well, there's Saliba and Gabriel at the back passing it around, not getting the ball into the box. There seems to be no rush from those players to get the ball into the box. Even if they did get the ball into the box, they would have struggled to win the first knockdown. They would have struggled to win the first ball, the second ball as well, because Bayern defended very well. And without a target man up there, Upamecano, who came on late on, De Ligt and Dyer would have just headed everything away. So they do need a plan B. It's nice playing all that good football up to the final third, but if they cannot convert the chances and they cannot get into the position to score, you have to look at Arteta, because he's not brought in the right players. Yes, Rice has come in this season and done really, really well. Erdegaard, Saliba, Gabriel have played well, but it's just a selection of players that in the big games that don't perform. And with Arsenal now second in the table, losing to Villa on the weekend, it'll be very hard to pin back Man City, who have also got knocked out of the Champions League last night as well. With Man City out, they dominated the game. Manchester City lost on penalties to Real Madrid last night as well. City dominated the game, had about 32 shots on goal. Andre Lunin played very, very well, making 9 saves in crucial moments. They dominated the ball, but unfortunately for them, they could not finish. Real Madrid did not have many chances. I think they had 1 or 2 shots on target. They didn't have a shot on target for about 95 minutes during the whole game, including extra time, which proves how much Man City dominated, but again, couldn't finish. Haaland has not performed well against Real Madrid over the 2 legs, having 2 shots on target, no goals, no assists. Real Madrid only needed 1 chance with Rodrigo's rebound goal, which came off Ederson, giving him an easy finish. Haaland hit the bar, De Bruyne equalised, missed a sitter from about 12 yards out, and you don't normally expect that from De Bruyne to miss the target from so close in. At one point in the game, Man City had 16 corners, couldn't make the most of it, and they couldn't make the most of those chances with Ruben Diaz, Akanji, Gvardiol going up. Real Madrid only had 1, which proves how much Man City dominated the game, and they were piling on the pressure every single minute of the game. The first half Real Madrid did well, but they were playing too many backwards passes, back to Lunin, back to their defence with Rudiger and Nacho, and I felt that was a very negative way of playing. But somehow Real Madrid got the job done on penalties. There were potentially some questionable decisions from Pep last night, taking off Haaland, taking off De Bruyne. I read this morning that potentially it was due to their tiredness. They had the quality to bring on because Haaland didn't do anything really. 2 shots in 2 legs, and Alvarez did quite well up there. But without Haaland up there, they don't really seem to play to Haaland's strengths. He's more of a player to get on the end of the ball rather than the ball to feet. He's very, very poor on the ball. He's very clunky, he's very clumsy. He holds it up well, but often he loses the ball in positions where he should be holding it up, bringing other people into play. I got to give flowers to Andre Lunin. He did step up at the start of the season. He was their third choice behind Courtois and Kepa. Courtois got injured, Kepa came in and started a few games, but then Ancelotti decided to drop Kepa and play Lunin, and had his full trust in him, playing him in a Champions League quarter-final. Same with Bayern Munich, they had a few players missing, and so did Real Madrid. Manchester City should have made the most of that, especially having a player like Nacho, which Haaland should have been sat on the whole game. To be fair to Nacho, he did play well, and he has been a very good servant for the club, as long as Lucas Vazquez. The players that Real Madrid were missing were David Alaba, Aurelien Tchouameni, and Thibaut Courtois, and they are 3 big and key players for Real Madrid. Eder Militao came on, coming back from injury. He played very, very well in the back 5 when Ancelotti decided to go more defensive. In my opinion, Grealish also should not have come off. I think that's another mistake from Pep. Grealish was having a great game against Carvajal. Doku came on, didn't really do much against Carvajal. Carvajal had him in his pocket all night. I think Doku is a bang average player. Against the small teams in the Prem, he looks an absolute world-class winger. But when it comes to crunch time, he cannot perform on the big stage. He gets the ball, does a few tricks, and just goes backwards or sideways. Carvajal had him in his pocket the whole evening, and to be fair, Carvajal played very, very well. One final thing I want to touch on with Pep Guardiola, I do feel he's made some mistakes in the transfer window. He's brought in Gvardiol, who's a good player, needs some time. Doku's average at the moment, but I think he can progress into be a really good player. They sold players like Mahrez, Cole Palmer, João Cancelo, Aymeric Laporte. I feel Mahrez, Cole Palmer, and especially Ilkay Gundogan were 3 players that they were missing. Cole Palmer was the ready-made replacement to replace Mahrez on that right wing. They didn't need to sign Doku. And if Cole Palmer was in that City team, he would be still producing the same amount of numbers, I feel, as he is at Chelsea. So I think that is a mistake that Pep Guardiola made at the beginning of the season. Bernardo and Kovacic took poor penalties against Lunin, who did step up really, really well. Modric missed his first one. Then the rest of the Real Madrid players slotted theirs away. I must say Ederson's penalty was probably the best of all the Man City penalties. And now Real Madrid will face Bayern Munich in the semi-final, where PSG will face Dortmund in the other semi-final. With all of the English teams out of the Champions League, what does this mean for the Premier League? So, Man City are top by 2 points against Arsenal and Liverpool. At this current moment, Liverpool are playing Atalanta tonight. Now Man City's focus will be all on the Premier League, and so will Arsenal. It will be very difficult for Arsenal to claw back those 2 points against Man City, as in the Premier League, they are very, very good, and they can dominate the ball against anyone. And Arsenal still have quite hard fixtures. City have a few hard ones, but Liverpool look to have the easiest fixtures out of the 3. So it will be an interesting title race to see who will win the Premier League. So that is the end of the podcast. Manchester City and Arsenal are both knocked out of the Champions League at the quarter-final stage. I can't lie, I am very, very happy about that. It'll be a great game between Bayern and Real Madrid, as well as PSG and Dortmund. I think the winner of Bayern against Real Madrid will win the Champions League, but going back to Arsenal, I think Arteta has one more season to prove himself to win a major trophy. Otherwise, I think he should go, and Arsenal should look at someone else to take them to that next level. So that is the end of the podcast. If you did enjoy that podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, I'll see you later for more.